So let's see. Metal Army America welcomes in Bob from Immolation. Bob, how's it going today, man?
Hey, what's up? How's it going?
Great, man. Thanks. So right off the bat, new album is Kingdom of Conspiracy. It's coming out in mid-May from Nuclear Blast. Great job on the record. Tell us about the making of this album.
It came together somewhat quickly. It was like last year. We knew we wanted to get the album done before we went. We had a trip going to South America to do some shows planned, as well as European festivals and a full European tour with Marduk. So we knew we had to get it done before that. So it was kind of once we got started, we had to keep things rolling. We got things written, and it was cool. I mean, I wrote I'd say 70% of the record before we went down to South America, and then I wrote a bunch of stuff while we were down in South America at the hotel and stuff. So it was kind of interesting between writing stuff down there as well as doing the leads and solos while we were on tour in Europe while I was on the road. It was kind of cool. It was kind of written all over the place. So that's somewhat a first for us. But I think it came together pretty good. I mean, the record has a great vibe. I think the songs are very strong. They're to the point. They're dark, they're catchy, they're heavy, and they have a lot of meaning. So, I mean, we couldn't be happier, and the production is probably one of the best we've ever had. So, I can't see anybody being disappointed with it. I know we're not, so hopefully everyone will really dig it. I think it's a pretty strong release.
Nice, man, nice. And I was going to say, you said there's a lot of meaning in the album, and I was going to ask right off the bat, is Kingdom of Conspiracy a concept album? Because kind of listening to it, it seems like it could be.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Ross came to me with the idea. He's like, what do you think about doing a concept record? And I was like, yeah, it sounds good. I mean, for the most part, a lot of our past records kind of somewhat became concept records without even trying. But I mean, this one, we kind of went into it that way. So, it's just a matter of looking at the world today and the structure of the society and how a lot of these structures are failing and systems are failing and where we're at and where we possibly could be headed in the future, if things continue the way they are. I mean, there's just too many of the powers that be that are trying to manipulate and control things while we're looking the other way. And I think people just need to open their eyes. And I think every song kind of looks at those aspects, different aspects of it from kind of like one song's about just kind of like knowing that something's wrong but not quite able to put your finger on it. Another song's about, we only have about one song about religion, but it talks about it in a different way. How really the higher powers use religion to manipulate and control people to keep them distracted. So every song kind of has like a different, comes from a different angle, but they're all revolving around that same theme. And I think it's a pretty strong record lyrically as well.
Nice. And I was going to say, of course you mentioned Ross. You and Ross are the longtime conspirators of the band. At this point in your careers, it's just really easy to kind of fall in sync with each other and kind of know where you guys are going when you start writing a record?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the experience we have in the studio and what we've done together over the years, definitely, it helps. We know what to do and what to expect out of each other, and it's kind of great. Now having Steve and Bill in the mix definitely helps a lot too. I mean, I write everything on the computer, so the fact that I've been doing that since Majesty in the K, it's been so much easier. I can actually write everything on the computer, and with just all the different parts, the extra guitar parts, the drums, everything from beginning to end, stops, everything, So now you listen to the song and you get the idea of what I'm trying to do with the music and the song itself, and then we make it just fits from there, so it makes things so much easier, especially that Steve's in Ohio and Bill's in Florida. We don't practice together, so it's much easier just to send the song out, complete it, and then everybody can kind of say what they think and whatever, and then we make a move from there. So it's gone pretty well. And with the music, I think my critiquing gets done by Ross and Steve and Bill. So once I know it passes that that jury right there, then I know I'm all right. But it's good because we all kind of work with each other, and then with the lyrics as well. Like Ross came to me with the concept, and he would write a bunch of stuff. The lyrics always get done in the studio, so he would write a bunch of stuff down for a particular song, and then I jump in there and write a bunch of stuff down and try to arrange it, and then we kind of work it in and make it work musically and everything. So and Steve adds his stuff as well. So it's a joint effort, and I think we're comfortable with the way we work, and we kind of know what we have to do. So it gets done, you know, and it's that experience and that working together all these years that makes it that much easier. So we're never really worried. I mean, we'll go into the studio with absolutely no lyrics, you know, and then 2 weeks later we come out and we have a completed record, you know, because it's just taking that time, because that's the time we have that nothing else is around. We're not working, we're not doing anything else. We're concentrating on what we need to do and how we have to do it. And then it's just a great thing. Everything just comes out, so it works out pretty well.
Cool, man. That's great. It's a great story. I also wanted to mention, you talked about the production work, and obviously you guys are always working with longtime producer Paul Orfino. He seems to be just the guy for the longest time, I think, except for a handful of records. What about Paul just keeps his, combination with the Immolation music style so perfect?
Well, he's a great guy. We really get along with him well. He's like part of the family now, and we just have a great time. We go up there, and it's a very relaxed situation. So not only is that the case, that it's comfortable, but Paul knows what he's doing, too. He knows how to get great sounds. He knows how to get the best out of us as musicians. If he hears something a little that's really not working, he'll let us know. So he's got a great ear for music. And it's just a great experience. And every time we go there, we have a great time. And there's really no reason to go anywhere else. I mean, we know that at this point, when we send the stuff out to Zach, he's going to do what he has to do with it, and things will get done, and, we'll go over that with him when that comes. But, the recording process, it's tricky, and you want to be comfortable. I think comfort is probably the most important thing. So the fact that Paul has not only experience and knowledge, but makes things comfortable for us, and is great to get along with, and kind of like, things can get stressful in the studio sometimes, and he kind of like has a way of just making it easy on us. So, there's really no reason to go anywhere else. And, again, he's like part of the family, so we have a great time. We go up there, we do our recordings, we hang out with him, we barbecue. He's got like an in-house bar. It looks like almost like its own, in his basement, that pretty much has a separate entrance. It looks like its own European pub, honestly. And we just hang out down there, have a couple of Belgian beers. So it's a good time, we just have a great time with him. And he does phenomenal work. So, yeah, I mean, we're pretty much, he's our man. So we don't plan on going anywhere else anytime soon.
Nice. And keeping with the consistency theme, you guys once again worked with Par Olofssen on the album artwork. It's a very striking album artwork. Really reminds me of sort of a, middle 50s America propaganda poster, kind of like the slavery theme.
Yeah, I mean, Par is like, he's also, we're really happy to have him part of the team, because since Majesty and the K, he's been doing the artwork, and he does a phenomenal job. Both with Majesty and the K and Providence, he really nailed it. And on this one, we had no doubt that he would nail it. It's just a matter of, we had to get art thoughts together. That's really what it was, because we always give him a very detailed description of what we're looking for and what we're trying to achieve with the artwork, as well as all the music and everything, and lyrics, and trying to make him understand what it's all about. So, and I think he appreciates that. I mean, he even tells us himself, he's like, he's like, oh, you guys are, great art directors, because, well, we kind of give him as much input as we possibly can. And then when something's not going the right way, we let him know. We say, yeah, this is cool, but it's not quite what we're looking for. We need this, or we need this angle, or, so we kind of really put him in the direction of what we're trying to convey. And then once he gets it, we just take it from there. I mean, you can see on, I think it's on Noise Creep, if I'm not mistaken, noisecreep.com, there's a whole thing where Par kind of shows the making of the album artwork, and both him and myself made comments on the pieces and where we were at those times. So if you get a chance, check that out, because it's kind of interesting to see how his work develops, and that'll give you a good idea. But yeah, we're very happy to have him on board, and again, I think he loves working with us as well. So the combination is great, and he comes up with just phenomenal work. We're very happy with the piece. Awesome,
man. I'll check that out on Noise Creep. That's cool. Speaking about the music for a second, I definitely, I think longtime fans will be thrilled with the record. There's a lot of great, classic Immolation sound, a lot of straight ahead stuff, but I think there's also some pretty cool adventurous stuff. Songs like Keep the Silence and The Spectacle of Lies and A Great Sleep. Is there sort of an effort to always kind of top what you guys did last time, or push the sound of the band out just a little bit farther each time?
Well, I guess so. I mean, it's not so much, you just want to create the best stuff you can. So it's more or less like we just do the best we can. Like when I'm writing stuff, I'm just looking to create interesting sounding stuff. So that's what comes out. You can't you never know what's gonna be better or worse or whatever. You just try and you make the music so you're happy with it, and that's it. You know, like, of course, yeah. Once I get through a couple of songs, I kind of go in a different direction because I'm like, okay, I have 3 songs, and these songs kind of like are like this. Let me try something like this, or let me see what I can come up with. You know, so I'm always consciously trying to create something interesting. You know, and that with songs like that or All That Awaits Us. I'm always trying to get something that's got a dark vibe to it, something maybe that we haven't quite done before, or you haven't quite really heard this kind of music. So it's kind of like we have a mind to it, but at the same time, it's whatever comes naturally too. So you can't really, you just do the best you can, and that's how it goes. But yeah, we always try and at least push things a little bit, and then Steve is always pushing. Anytime the intensity factor, Steve's always pushing. He pushes us further and further too, because I'll make something on the computer, and I'm like, well, it doesn't have to be that fast. I'm just on the computer. I can't judge. And he's like, no, that's fine. I might even make it a little faster or whatever. So I'm like, okay, So I leave that up to him. So he always pushes us too to kind of like make things a little more intense and stuff. So I think we're all striving to make a better record every time. So it just comes natural.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, Steve's performance is completely killer on the album. People are gonna lose their minds when they hear it.
Yeah, he did a phenomenal job. I don't know how the hell he does it, honestly. Just, I'll write stuff on the computer, and I'll be like, all right, that sounds cool. But then when I see what it takes to do it, I'm like, wow. And then he'll add even more stuff to it and just take things to a total next level on everything. So I'm just like, I don't know how the hell he does it, but he does a phenomenal job.
Nice. You always struck me, Bob, as a guy. You got a very distinctive guitar style among your fellow, longtime death metal guitar players. I was interested to ask you who your original influences were, going back to the early days.
Oh yeah, well, I grew up with bands like, Iron Maiden was a huge influence on me. Early Metallica, of course. Kirk Hammett's work. Possessed. Larry Lalonde and Matt Ferrer. Those were great. I love the guitar work on the early Possessed records. So, there's a lot of different stuff like that. Early Queensryche, like The Warning, stuff like that. As far as like the lead work and solo work, and and then obviously just music in general, we've always gotten heavier and heavier. When you listen to stuff when you're younger, you always progress to the heavier stuff. So when it came to the riffing and all that, that was just like, trying to make dark heavy sounds with the guitar. And I never really went for whether it's solo work or guitar work, I never went for what the proper way to play guitar was. I always went for whatever just sounded cool, so I would just go with whatever sounds good, that works for me, so when it came to solos, I rarely try and stick to, I rarely go with like scales and stuff like that, I just kind of go with whatever comes natural. It's almost like writing the riffs. I'll just work in lead work to see what fits the song, So that's basically how I do it anyway.
Cool. And another thing I always wanted to ask you about, I'm glad I got a chance to talk to you and interview you now, is I don't know if you even have a name for it, but obviously Immolation is, one of the top death metal live bands, and obviously you always have your signature move that I call it the chop, but it's like when you swing your guitar around for emphasis, and it's really awesome. Obviously you've been doing it forever, ever since I've seen you the first time in the early 90s, so I just wonder if it's just part something you just came up with on your own, or you just came from playing shows. How, do you even think about it?
It just came naturally, let's put it this way. As you know, I had longer hair back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Longer hair, and then once I cut my hair and then shaved my head, that banging thing just wasn't working for me. So it just naturally progressed into doing something else, and that's what it became. And I don't know, it is what it is. It's my way of getting into the music live. It's not so much like I figure it out or structure it. It's just like, okay, here's the music, and there I go. And honestly, once you play certain songs live over a period of years, you tend to end up doing certain things similarly in the songs, almost like you're playing a riff. You almost play that riff a certain way now, and Bill tells me the same thing. It's like a similar thing. It's like you play these songs live so many times that you almost go into a particular move when you're playing that riff because you just played it so many times. It just almost just comes. It naturally just develops, you know. So it's weird, but I mean that's how we do things. So.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Thanks for humoring me with that answer. Any case, I just got a couple more questions for you, man. Obviously, the band's going to ramp up a bunch of touring. I know you guys are playing the Neurotic Death Fest, and then you're coming back and doing the Decibel Tour with Cannibal Corpse and Napalm Death, among others. Well, you know, obviously, what does it mean to sort of get on a bill with a bunch of, you know, similar fellow icon status bands as yourself?
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, the Neurotic Death Fest is always a great festival. They always have great bands, and this is the 10th anniversary, so they asked us to play it, so we're more than happy to. It's a cool time. It'll be a cool fest for sure. And then, well, touring with Cannibal and Napalm is just like a no-brainer, you know? I mean, we've known both those bands for years. We toured with both those bands. I mean, Cannibal, we did like all the major touring for the Vile record when it came out back in like 96, 97, so we did like 4 tours with them. So we're good friends with them, and then Napalm as well. We just toured with them at I believe the end of 2010. They invited us over for a European tour, and it was phenomenal. And you know, we love all those guys in both bands, and they're both phenomenal bands. You know, that have been doing this just as long, if not longer than us. So you know, we're also, I know, like Cannibal celebrating 25 years as we are this year, and Napalm, I don't know, they've probably been around a couple years longer, but you know, we've all been here for a long time, and you know, all those guys are completely cool, so we're just looking forward to having a great time and a great tour, and we're really happy it came together. Decibel really put together a great package, and we're just happy to be a part of it, honestly.
That's great, man. And just kind of a last thing, which is, you know, obviously the band, you mentioned the band's together 25 years, and I think often that Dawn of Possession is over 20 years old and will soon be 25 years old. Do you ever, like, reflect back on the career of the band? You're still making great music, but you obviously have a long history, and some of your albums are obviously the classics in the genre. Do you ever take some time off? Are you at that point where you can kind of reflect back yet?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we do once in a while. It's almost hard to believe for us. Like, me and Ross will just be like, wow, you know, 25 years, you know? We're just like, it's just so strange to us, you know? But it doesn't feel that long, and at the same time, the way we are now, we're like so energetic and so, you know, still pushing forward with the music, you know? For us, we still have that adrenaline to the music, and we still have that excitement going, you know, and that drive. So, for us, it's, we still feel like, you know, we're just friggin' teenage kids trying to make, you know, a good record, you know. So it's cool because the passion's still here with us, you know, as well as Steve and Bill. They've been doing their music separately for the longest time. Bill was in Angel Corpse, you know, for a while. Steve had his own band, Odious Sanction, for a long time, and you know, they've been into it for a long time too. We've been together. You know, it's a 25th anniversary, but it's also a 10-year anniversary for this particular lineup. And this is really the lineup that to me was the most important. It's just been it's been a great time. We're lucky to have Steve and Bill in the band, great people, and we all get along really well. And everyone's 110% into it. So the way we do things now, and everyone's just on the same page, and everyone's serious about the music. So we couldn't ask for more. I mean, you know, a lot of people look back and like, oh, those were the days back then. Those were the best times, you know. For us, we're like, those days, I can't believe, you know, so long ago. But this is the time we enjoy the most. You know, the old days were cool, but you know, because there was a lot of first tours and first demos and first records and first experiences. But we don't look back and I wish things were like that. No, we like things the way they are now. We intend on improving them even more, and we have such a better time on the road and a better time in the studio, and I think we're making better music, and we're just loving it now. So for us, it's great, and to look back and look at every release and, you know, pretty much be proud of every release that we've done, you know. Of course, you know, there's a couple of productions I think that could have been better on some of those records, but other than that, musically, you know, I think, you know, we've got a discography we're pretty proud of, you know, and we just look forward to more stuff in the future, you know, and that's it.
Awesome, man. Well, that's great, and great to have you back once again. Again, the album is Kingdom of Conspiracy, comes out, I think, May 14th on Nuclear Blast. Bob from IMMOLATION, thanks for hanging out with Metal Army. Really appreciate it, and see you on the road, bro.